A fellow designer reached out to me a few days ago, and she asked me the question that's bothering a lot of you. So she's designing a website, and in the mobile editor on Squarespace, she sees one thing. When she switches to the browser view, she views her browser in the inspector, and on her mobile phone, it looks completely different. All the typography is messed up. All elements are kind of bouncing around. And I gave her actually 3 tips on how to fix it. Hi, I'm Olga. I run Applet Studio. It's a small Squarespace design company. We sell Squarespace templates, courses for aspiring online entrepreneurs, and we also design custom Squarespace websites for clients. So here are the 3 tips that I gave her. First of all, let's fix the typography with CSS, with some very basic and simple CSS. Let's make all the fonts gradually smaller on mobile. Second, let's use a simpler design. Let's plan our design around the simplicity that we need to have on mobile. And the third, let's use fewer elements on mobile so that we have space to place all the other stuff. And let's avoid complex layered designs on mobile because they will break across the breakpoints. And if you're not designing for each smaller breakpoint, there can be 6 breakpoints actually. If you're not designing it and then developing it pixel perfect. If you're doing it in a simpler way where you design the desktop version on Squarespace and then you clean up stuff on mobile, then you need to kind of work your way from the bottom up and sacrifice some of the things on mobile for the sake of simplicity and continuity and just more consistent, polished design. I'm showing you one of my best-selling Squarespace templates. And the thing about this template, it has really bold typography. So like all of the pages, the H1, heading 1 is really big, and it has trouble translating into mobile version. So if we switch to mobile here, we'll see that, okay, I have this perfect typography shape, but if you change the copy, it's gonna break. If you use a word that's like very long here, it's gonna break into and gonna jump into another line, and that's not looking good. So here's the fix. First of all, you can always tweak the copy. This is the simplest, the fastest, and the easiest solution. You can always tweak the copy so that you avoid super long words. It's not wordy, it's like very punchy. This is really punchy, right? This is 4 words. They translate beautifully to mobile, but this is a template. This is intentional. If you were an actual business, your copywriting might not be that polished unless you hire a copywriter and tell them exactly to make it that bite-sized, clipped, very simple copy. If this is not the case, here are 2 tricks that you can use. And I'm going to show you some code snippets here. So use a text wrap, balance, or pretty. So here we are targeting H1, H2, H3, and large paragraph in Squarespace. So I'm going to link this below this video, and you can copy these things. So either balance or pretty. What it does, so this code snippet does, it makes your text shape a beautiful shape. So this is the first thing that we can do. It will do that on both desktop and mobile. Second thing, we're just going to scale all the typography down to the smallest screen. And you can also kind of see my screen here, and you can see all of the code, which you can also copy for this tutorial. You can copy it from under this video. So let me grab it and pop it back into my custom code. So as you can see, I'm giving you snippets for desktop, for laptop, for tablet, and for mobile. So we're interested in this last one, actually. Let's delete it for now. Copy the last one. When we switch to mobile, we'll see that H1 is very small. Now we can tweak it, make it 40 pixels or 50 pixels. And I scale it down and also tweak the line height. So the smaller your font, the smaller your line height, the bigger your line height. In this case, I think that the line height is kind of too big for this screen. One more fix is to bring out the newly launched layers panel on mobile. And when you go to the mobile view of the site, You bring up the layers, and you can just disable some of the elements. So let's see here. For example, I might not need this image right here. So I'll bring up the layers, find this image. There's a shape and an image together, and just disable both of them. One more thing about Squarespace mobile editor is that it's misleading and confusing. So the way it looks here is how it looks on the latest, biggest smartphone on an iPhone. If you have a smaller screen, you have to test it in Inspector. So we go to Inspect and switch the model, you'll see how it actually looks on smaller and smaller screens. As you can see, my own site translates okay. But if I had more copy here, it would jump to another line and another line and another line. And that can be frustrating for a lot of customers, for a lot of clients and designers for that matter. But think about it as this. You're at the airport, you're boarding the plane, and you're trying to fit luggage into the overhead bin. And the overhead bin is of a certain size. You cannot fit your main luggage into this overhead bin. You gotta use the very narrow suitcase, very small and narrow. So it's the same thing. So we have to plan for a smaller, narrower text that will break into a certain number of lines. And the easiest way to do it is with CSS. Just make it intentionally smaller and mobile, simpler, fewer elements, simplistic design. Because when people are scrolling on their mobile phones, they also expect a certain user experience and certain simplicity. Again, to recap, plan your design around mobile constraints. So you know how Squarespace behaves on mobile, and you kind of can work around these features by making your font smaller, by using fewer elements, by disabling things that are extra. And if you need a particular elaborate design and you want it to look exactly the same way how you envision it on mobile, you go in and you clean it up with CSS.